Hey again. All right, so about radiation, because you were talking about the radium girls, the US has been terrible about that forever. I mean, not only did we use it on people, and we really are the only country who's ever done that, but we didn't understand it at all. An example is after the whole Japan World War II thing, we decided we were going to test more bombs to find out better ways to explode things, and we took battleships that we weren't using anymore and we dragged them out into the ocean and we nuked them. And when we were done, we wanted to be able to, you know, take a look at what was going on, and we sent people to hose them off because just wash the radiation off, right? That's not how that works. So the story I wanted to tell you really quick is about a young-ish woman right after World War II. So she had worked as an itinerant teacher. She had gone to college. She moved from Florida out to the West Coast. And when the war was over, she served in both Japan and Korea with the USO. Korea during the war and Japan just during the occupation. And most of what she was doing there was trying to keep American service members out of trouble, giving them things to do, and keeping them from bothering the nice Japanese folks. So when she came home with a bunch of really interesting stuff. Jewelry, sandals, a kimono, and some things that were gifts from people she had worked with. There were a bunch of photographs and postcards that on the back of them, there is this "From the happy people of Japan," and then in the back behind them is drawn a mushroom cloud behind the words, which seems a little strange. And, given the rest of the story, it doesn't seem necessarily unintentional. And she also brought home a brick from Hiroshima. So she brought it home, and it was in her house. She got married, and she and her husband had a daughter who almost died of no one knows exactly what when she was young. It would probably be classified as almost SIDS at this point. But she survived. But there, are issues with connective tissue things. And then they had another daughter after a failed pregnancy. And that daughter grew up without anything noticeable until she got older. So radiation is linked to all kinds of different issues, whether it's provable causality, like cancer, or whether it's no one knows what causes these, but radiation seems to either make them worse or make them more common. So one of the issues is her youngest daughter ended up with an autoimmune disorder, fibromyalgia. A lot of pain, discomfort, not everything feels right, really bad connective tissue in her knees, seems to be common between her and her older sister. This woman and her husband both ended up with various kinds of cancer, breast cancer, leukemia, and also macular degeneration. She went blind. At some point, someone in the family realized that maybe keeping what was very clearly a radioactive brick in the house wasn't the greatest idea, and it got moved out, donated where they would be able to keep it in a nice lead-lined box. And it doesn't seem to have happened until after, at least, her oldest grandchild was in the house. And I say it doesn't seem to have happened because not only did that child grow up to have some really interesting medical problems, including ankylosing spondylitis and iritis and autoimmune disorders, but also she remembers seeing it and handling it. And while the family referred to it as the glowing brick, it didn't actually glow, but it definitely did set off that Geiger counter, the thing you were talking about, that clicks when it gets near radiation. I tell this because I was the only kid in my middle school who had ever seen a Geiger counter, which I'd seen because we were talking about the brick. My mother has fibromyalgia and really bad knees, and her mother went blind and got cancer, and my grandfather got leukemia, and it's one of those things where no one's quite sure, but maybe you shouldn't bring home cancer-causing radioactive bricks. It feels like a thing that maybe people should talk about a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to send you one when I run into other fun things, like I did with the World War I Christmas truce the other week. And it really is fantastic and phenomenal to get a chance to watch your videos and hear things that I can add to what I teach my students about, because we obviously go over things like the Christmas truce and the Triangle Factory fire and those sorts of events, but it's interesting to hear other takes, and I've shown a couple of them to students. So thank you for sharing those. Bye.